tab 59. Hope you're all well. So, it's a Friday, weekend's coming, Friday afternoon, beautiful day. Trace around, call sign 0 Alpha. She's at work, I couldn't resist coming out. Thought come out here and get out in the cuds. Beautiful, spring's coming, you can see it everywhere. Had a lot of rain, but spring's definitely on its way. Okay, so what am I talking to you about today? Well, big subject again, only going to touch on it. There's a lot more people out there amongst you lot that know more than me. Well, I want to talk to you about driving in the army. Driving in the British Army. I'm going to talk mainly a couple of the vehicles, a couple of experiences, and some of the old stuff back in BAOR, back in good old West Germany as it was during the Cold War. So the 70s and 80s mainly. So when I got out to Germany, to my unit, I was only just over 17. I couldn't drive. I didn't have a driving licence of any description. And had to do a signals course first. I think that's one of the first courses they put me on, the old basic signals course. Passed that. Then after that, I was lucky enough to get put on a basic driver's course with a Land Rover. We didn't used to use cars for learning to drive. Back then, you learnt to drive as a learner in a Land Rover if you didn't have a licence, which I didn't. So 6-week course, basic driver's course on a Land Rover, in a Land Rover. Fantastic. So you did, to start with, you did a little bit of looking around the Land Rover, knowing how to first parade it. Remember doing your first parades? Working out all your checks you've got to do before you drove it. A little bit of theory. And then, of course, because we were in Germany, we had to do a highway code test for Germany, which was called a tick test. And it was a written sheet, multiple choice questions. There was a couple of little pictures of crossroads and junctions, who's got priority, and you had to pass that test first. So once you'd passed your tick test, you could then get out on the road in your Land Rover. And normally it was an instructor, an NCO, junior NCO in the front as the instructor, and then one would be learning to drive, 2 lads in the back, and you went out all day just driving, and you swap round. You pull over, maybe pull into the roundhouse at Owner, get a cup of tea and a bacon roll or whatever, nappy break, swap drivers. And that's what you did. And of course, towards the end of that 6-week course, once you were ready, you sat your test. Normally a Sergeant Major, QMSI, would take you on the driving test. And of course, you did a little bit of trailer work as well. Once you'd passed your test, they then took you and done a little bit of cross-country driving, went on the old knife edges up at Hona, on the driver training area. And like I say, done a little bit with trailers. So you learned how to do all that malarkey. And that was great. You got your FMT 600 MT driver's permit, I think it was. So you got that badger. And then a little while after that, I was quite lucky, a little while after that, I got put on an HGV course. Now, we had only 2 4-tonners in my unit at the time. We had the old petrol-driven RL Bedford. What a beast that was. We had the slightly newer, as it was, MK Bedford. I think there was a TM. Or was it a TM Bedford? There's a road version. I know the old ration vehicle used to be the road version, but we had the RL Bedfords, like I say, 4x4 and Bedford MK. And again, that was another 6-week course, and we learnt in the MKs. We didn't use the old RLs for driver training, we used the MKs. And it's the same sort of detail, done a bit of theory, learned how to first parade it, etc., etc. And then off you went driving, the same sort of detail. A couple of you be in the back maybe, one in the front with the instructor, and you drive around till you was ready for your test. Done a bit of trailer work. I think we had to use Tasker trailers as well, the big old 4-wheel trailers. And then when it got to your test, you had to do a bit on the parade square first. There was some bollards put out, and you had to drive around the bollard and reverse into a garage, I believe, something like that. So you had to get that test out of the way first on the square, and then you went out and done your driving test on the road proper in your 4-tonner. And that was pretty cool, because by then we'd had experience of driving, plenty of time in an MK. We knew what we was doing, and I'm sure most of us did pass. And then after that, I think I was a Lance Jack at the time. Me and a good mate of mine actually was on the course with me. He lives up the road from me in Alford, Mark Shawsey, old Spilsby. Me and him got stuck on, put on advanced driver's course. And obviously you went a little bit deeper into. I think right at the beginning they took you out and you done a driving test in a Land Rover, and obviously made sure everyone failed that just to show us we're not as good as we thought we were. And then you learnt some more techniques. You had to do a commentary drive and stuff like that. And at the end of that course, you passed that, and you got your little badge. I think it's like a little star with a wheel in, like a wagon wheel inside it. You could wear that on your arm as an advanced driver if you wanted to wear it on your woolly pulley, which we all did. So that was the sort of courses I did. I never went up further than that. We had some stollies on camp, but I think that was the RAOC, Rag and Oil Company. So that's the sort of driving we had. Now, of course, if you wanted to drive your private car in BAOR at the time, you had to get yourself a BFG license. As long as you got a full UK license or whatever, you just went down and got given that. As long as you've done your tick test, you got your BFG license. I think it was a pink cardboard license. And that just allowed you to drive private vehicles. Because we didn't have English registration plates on our private cars. We had BFG plates. And you still had to have like an MOT if the car was old enough. But you done it, the reason done it for you, must have paid, I can't remember, but you went down to the servicing bay or where the VMs were, and you took your private car in, and they'd done like an MOT on it. And then you could drive. Well, then you had to get BFG plates. Now, it was a black number plate, pressed steel, with white lettering. And so the locals all knew, I think you had a GB sticker on the back as well. Everyone knew that you was a squaddy driving around in your BFG car. The great thing was when you come home and leave, you didn't have to have road tax on it. You drove home, as long as you're insured. You could come home in your BFG car and drive around in England on a course or on leave or whatever, and you didn't need road tax. So, bit of a story. Let's talk about the RL Bedford, because let's walk back up this way. Actually, there's a dead end down there. The RL Bedford, like I say, was a petrol version of the 4-ton. It wasn't the MK, which was diesel. It was a petrol version. Big old thing. I mean, they were from the 40s. I don't know if they used them during the war. Probably not. I think I looked at one of the sort of logbooks on one, the servicing book, and I think it come into service about 1948, 49. So these things were old. No luxuries, no power steering, nothing like that. No heaters. We got to remember with the RL Bedford, any of you have driven one or seen one, it's got a split windscreen, little bulbous nose truck, strong as anything, and quite quick because it was petrol. In between you and the driver, in the passenger seat and the driver, was the engine cowling, big old green cowling with like a T-bar catch on it. You lifted that up, and there was the engine, and that's where you checked the oil from. But the funny thing was, there was no heaters in it from my memory. Tell me if I'm wrong, anyone. I don't believe the RL Bedfords had any heating system in them. But what you could do, obviously, in the winter, is lift off the engine cowling. It's a bit noisy, but you got some heat off of the engine. But of course, conversely, in the hot German summers, it was hot in that cab. Now, of course, you had your side windows you could open. You had a cupola in the roof where you could have an air sentry used to stand there. So you'd have a passenger driver and maybe an air sentry stood up through the cupola. Canvas disc, lifted that off, like a sunroof. So in the summer when it's hot, like I say, you could take that off, have your windows open, but you could also unclip the windscreen. So it was split. They were hinged at the top, I believe. You undone a little catch and you pushed them outwards like that, so you got a rush of air coming into the cab and up out through the cupola. That was your air conditioning back in the day. So, good mate of mine, we was sent off on this driving job on exercise. We had to leave the command post area and drive to a location, drop some kit off. So we're both HGV drivers then. He was driving, I was map reading. I'd got the old map out. And off we went down this Route 3 or where it was in Germany. So we're driving along, I got my feet up on the dashboard, red hot day. And we got to about 45, 46, 47 miles an hour and the old RL Bedford started shaking. And he looked over at me, he went, "Hit the turbo, Keith." Well, I'd got my feet on the dashboard. Now on the dashboard was a big black plunger, rubber plunger. And if you pushed that, it sent 2 jets of water onto each windscreen to wash your windscreen. It was a windscreen washer control. So my feet up on the dashboard, he's gone, "Hit the turbo." The old truck was shaking. So with my foot, I pressed the black plunger. Big mistake. 2 jets of water come through, both eyes for me. Jet of water worse, both eyes for him. Now in that water there's like an alcohol, an antifreeze mixed in the screen wash. So of course that's stinging like mad. He can't see. I've let go of the map, the wind's through the windscreen, whipped the map out of my hand, straight out the cupola. We managed to bring the old truck to a halt, pulled over to the side of the road, giggling their heads off like a pair of schoolgirls. And I said, I've lost the map. We jumped out, we looked down the road, we find that map. No. So anyway, we're totally lost now. Somehow we managed to get back. Sergeant Major ripped us a new one. So a little story about that. Don't use the water bottles when you've got your windows open. Now, there's another phenomena that comes with driving out in my day, in the old Bedfords or the MKs, the RLs, whatever. They did used to rattle, like I say, they'd shake you all about. And this phenomena, I don't like swearing, I don't like using bad language on YouTube, but this phenomena was called Convoy cock. That's right. Now, whether it was the vibrations or whether it was young and hormones are going, but I can remember people going down the road, getting out of the trucks going, oh, got a bit of convoy going on there. So if any of you remember that, let me know. Obviously, more specialist drivers out there, veterans from right back from the Royal Army Service Corps through to the Royal Corps of Transport, and then later into the RLC transport regiments. You guys, you drove some serious stuff, I know. The big tank transporter boys, I saw them knocking about. How on earth you threw them things around the road, I don't know. Well, apart from that, yeah, we only had Land Rovers, RL Bedfords, MKs. Of course, we had 432s back then. I never had a tracks licence. And like I say, we had some stalwarts, the old Stollies, amphibious, apparently, Stollies, which was the stores guys, the stores section, the Royal Army Ordnance Corps, the Rag and Oil Company. So, a bit about driving in Germany then. And if that's brought back any memories, you're out driving in a convoy, big old convoy, with a convoy light on. Remember that? When you go off-road and you're going through the cuds. Pitch black at night and everyone flicks the light switches to convoy. And all you had in front of you, the bloke in front of you, was that little tiny white light shining down on the rear diff, which had been painted white. And that's what you had to follow. Deadly. How we done it, I don't know. So I hope that's brought back some memories. So like I say, spring's getting here now, guys. If you've not got out yet, no excuses. Have a think about it. And until the next time, and it won't be long, thanks for your support. Consider subscribing if you can. But remember, let's tap.